Okay, guys, I have to try to do this video as fast as possible. My next door neighbor decided to start using a chainsaw like the minute I came out here. Uh, um, so I hope you don't hear that in the background. Sorry if you do. Sorry if you're annoyed. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump last night. Gosh. Sorry, I keep looking up because my neighbor is over there. And the school buses are over there too. Everything's over there, so my eye just keeps tracking over there. But anyway, so I don't want to go into a full-length, movie about what I heard and what I saw and what I thought, because I really don't have the time. So what I did was when things were coming to my mind that I thought that each candidate or did, I just wrote them down on a notepad here. And so I'm literally going to read my notes and just throw some things out there if you guys want to think about them. If you don't, that's fine. If you do, great. So first thing, I thought the greeting went well. They shook hands. They looked at each other. Both of their postures was upright this time. Remember during the interview that Kamala Harris had with Dana Bash, she was sitting very hunched over. She looked like she corrected that. Right off the bat, the moderators I noticed, and I don't remember their names. I don't remember the woman's name. I remember David Muir. I remember him because he was the worst. I noticed that he was very biased in correcting Donald Trump's facts. And the first time he did it, I said, "Oh, okay. Well, this is a good thing." He is going to check when there are errors being spoken. But then what I noticed over time was that he did not correct one statement that Kamala Harris made. Now, are we to believe that she did not lie at all? She did not exaggerate anything? And everything she said was said with 100% accuracy? I don't think so. He just chose not to do that. Right from that point on, which was at the beginning, it set the stage for agitation of the viewer. Why? Because nobody wants to think that one person has an advantage over another, no matter how much or how little we like candidates. I thought that was unfair, and honestly, it was corrupt. Sorry, the wind was blowing, guys. Okay, next thing I wrote down. Strategy. I know, I'm sorry. I'm going to be doing a lot of... because, in retrospect, I feel like a lot of people think that they can always have a better strategy, that they're the ones that know the key to strategy. But things are always, or often, looked at in reverse with better eyes than we look towards vision. I thought that Kamala Harris was well prepared. And when I say that doesn't mean that I think that she did a good job. It means that I think that she went over her stats. She went over numbers. Even if she lied about them, she came across as if they were real. I feel like she was able to present herself better because, yes, she used to practice as an attorney. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump is not an attorney. When I was listening to her, it felt like she was presenting a case in court. And, she had her opening statement, all her exhibits, and then she had her closing statement. At this point, I felt like, Donald Trump was in for a run. because even if he's saying the right things, he does not present well sometimes. He doesn't present well as a lawyer would, okay? That's the reality. But what we did notice, even though Kamala Harris has experience as an attorney in presenting cases, even if the cases are presented wrong, she has an ability to come across like what she's saying is really true. There were holes. There were holes that I think that Donald Trump could have filled in. For one, David Muir was also acting like not a moderator. He was acting like a lawyer or an investigator, a police officer investigator, because what we found that he was doing a lot of presuppositions and he was leading the witness. Example, I believe he was asking Donald Trump about Kamala Harris's, what he said, why do you think it's appropriate to weigh in on racial identity of your opponent? That is a presupposition. He's asking the question as if it's a fact already, when the audience does not know that's a fact. Now, you might be able to argue and say, no, he did that. He did that at that little journalist event. However, other people believe that Kamala Harris was the first one to use her racial identity in this race. And then Donald Trump responded to that. But David Muir asked the question as a presupposition, meaning he stated it as a fact, and then Donald Trump had to, make a defense. That was Donald Trump's mistake. Also, I believe David Muir asked another question about the border. And although Donald Trump kept repeating himself and saying, look, all these people are coming over, they're ruining our country, they're getting things that regular citizens aren't getting, this was your fault. And he kept hammering that in. Where he could have kind of shut her down was when she stated that she had gone to visit Zelensky. I don't remember what year she had gone. I think it was in 2022. And she might have visited a few other times. She visited him in Germany. But Donald Trump could have easily said, hey, when you went to go visit Zelensky all the way in Germany, why was that an easier task for you to commit yourself to than to just go a few miles to the border? He could have come back and he could have questioned that, because that question itself would have made Americans think, well, why is it that she can go on an international travel to go take care of other people first, but she won't take care of the people here who are only a few minutes away? He should have done that. I noticed David Muir did not ask any questions really about the West Bank. I noticed that Kamala Harris treaded lightly on that, and Donald Trump basically stayed away from it. I believe that he went on a tangent on purpose so he wouldn't have to ask that. See, what you guys have to understand is this, that a lot of the time we believe that these debates are for us. And maybe they are. But a lot of the time, they are for people that have more influence than us. Because we know we barely have any influence, right? I mean, unless you're eating pies in the skies, and I know that often the people that we elect don't even vote the way that we want them to vote. So then who would this debate be for? It would be for the people that are in a position that's higher than us. So when they're sitting there going back and forth, omitting topics that should be brought up, like the West Bank, like the price gouging, those topics were avoided. And they were not avoided because they didn't want to tell us the answers, really. They were avoided because the answers were told to the people that are more important than us, which is, don't worry, I'll protect your bottom line. Don't worry, this war can keep going on forever. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what that means. So, yeah, I think the question stunk. I think the way that the questions were answered were kind of poor on both sides because they really did not reveal anything. Um, Something that she did that I found kind of sinister was how she used projection a lot to basically put some of her characteristics on to Donald Trump. Not to say that he doesn't have his own distinct traits, but what I mean is when she brought up the Central Park jogger case, where I don't know all the details. I remember that from when I was a younger person, but that he took out this newspaper ad and wanted these guys prosecuted for the crime. She was talking about him, I believe, just being overzealous, perhaps with the racial undertones to put people away that later on were exonerated. But as she's doing this, Donald Trump failed to question her cases where people were exonerated and paid millions of dollars because they were put in jail, though they did nothing. The fact that she brought that up as a tool to fight him with, and that he did not latch on that and defend himself, was a mistake. She should have stayed out of that territory, and he should have known about her past cases. She did a lot of things like that, a lot of projection, a lot of mocking, a lot of needling. He had his too. I think she picked on him for using fictional characters such as Hannibal Lecter. So what? I think Hannibal Lecter, though a serial killer, could have at least taught us all to ask questions. Is that not what he did in the book and the movie? He worked with Clarice and asked questions. What, where, why, when, how? Which brings me to the moderators. They asked very basic questions. What will you do? What is your economic policy? They never really asked, well, how? How are you going to achieve this, Kamala? Where are you going to get the $6,000 to give to each family when they have a newborn? See, we need to know these things because we know that through our tax dollars, we create a budget. And through that budget, things are subtracted, okay? So where is it going to come from? Where? Especially while two wars are still going on. There was not enough pushback on how she's going to achieve her goals. She answered what, she answered why, she answered when. She didn't answer how, right? Hannibal Lecter can also teach us the quid pro quo. He says that in that movie. Quid pro quo. I know we're not supposed to say that in politics, I think. But the reality is that that's what people want now. They want to know that they're going to get something in return for their vote. They're not just out here trying to make candidates richer. They're not out here trying to say, yeah, your stepdaughter can, be a model and be an author and graduate from college, and the rest of ours can't because they're drowning in debt. Those people over there can open up a movie network production, but we can't even get paid for the movies we wrote. Come on now. Come on, please. Okay? People want to know how you're going to achieve the goals that you allege you're going to put into action. I think that Donald Trump could have pushed her on that. Then there was, let me look. Yes, both of them used fear as a tool of persuasion. Donald Trump used the fear of illegal immigrants coming through the country, terrorizing people and taking benefits from people. And Kamala Harris used what would be women's inability to access abortion. They both used that as a tool of persuasion. I don't know how much it worked. Then, what else? Sorry, guys, I just wrote it down. So messy. This is not professional. There was one more. There was one more thing that I found annoying. Oh, yeah, you know what it was? It was that Kamala Harris often said, time to turn the page. And then she said it in this tone of exasperation, like she's tired of just the same old playbook. She said that in her interview with Dana Bash, that Donald Trump uses the same old playbook, which was, and then now she was saying we need to turn the page, because the page goes with the book. The funny part was that as she was saying this, she herself on that stage refused to actually turn the page herself. So you might ask, well, what are you talking about? Okay, so I brought the book. This is the book from my last video. The true story of the Three Little Pigs. And if you watch my last video, it was about unreliable narrators. Anyway, so when Kamala Harris is talking about the same old playbook and turning the page, she was actively referencing all of the things that Donald Trump had done in his past, or these cases that are lingering in the past. Some of them, we're still waiting to hear about how they will end, but a lot of the things that she brought up were from his past. That is not a turning of the page. So as she is telling him, oh, come on, come off of it, Donald. You need to turn the page. This is how a turning the page works. You turn the page and you don't turn back. You see that? You don't turn back because you want to finish the book. You want to get through the book. If she was really interested in turning the page, instead of using his past against him, she would actually turn the page herself. But instead, during the whole debate, she kept turning that page, her own page, backwards. Really what she is saying is, I want you, you people out there, and Donald, I want you guys to move forward with what I want you to move forward. But whenever I need to reach into that past to use things against you, I will be able to do so. Therefore, there is no turning of the page. Really, there's a turning of the page for us through force and coercion, and there's no turning of the page for her unless she wants to. If she wants to turn the page, she can do it. Nobody else is going to be, through choice, able to turn the page. I thought that was interesting. It was very funny. And I don't know if a lot of people spoke about that, because that was her catchphrase of the night. Turn the page, Donald, turn the page. Though when she needed to blame him for COVID, and when she needed to blame him for bad jobs, or she needed to blame him for, inflation, she turned the page back, And it wasn't just in a reference way. It was in a way to say that he was the source of all of the present day problems. No. So anyway, up until that point, she was doing pretty well as an attorney who is trained to present a case in the courtroom. And Donald Trump had his little moments where he stuck up for himself. But let's be real, he was having to fight off 3 people. I have experience with that. I'll have to tell you that story at another time. Man, I walked into a room one time. I'll tell you a little bit now. My daughter was being accused of doing something that she did not do in high school. This was years ago. And she got her first ever detention. And I did not want to be one of those people that just said, oh, not my baby. No, that's not my baby. I talked to my daughter, I sat down, and then I discovered that she really didn't do what it is that she was accused of. It was that the teacher got mad that she had heard that my daughter had said something about her. So then she used the equipment at school on her day off, she being the teacher, to spy on what the children were saying in order to set my daughter up and give her a detention. I went to the school. I called her first. And I said, yes, this is I'm gonna tell this really fast. This is what happened. This is what you did. I'll be down there. And then on the day that I was supposed to go, the next day, and I asked for video footage, audio footage and video footage. I wanted it. The morning that I went, it disappeared. I said, it's okay. I figured that it would disappear. I'm in the driveway of the school right now. I'll be right in there. She was trying to do everything that she could not to see me. Long story short, I got in there and I told my husband to come. I said, look, you can come, but I got this. Believe me. And I had already done all my research on the cameras that were the cameras that were used, but what the Board of Education had funded them, that the way they were supposed to be used, which was not surveillance to punish people that don't happen to like you and think you're a bad teacher. Anyway, I went in there. My husband didn't say anything. He was just scrolling on his phone. He would have, but I didn't want the scenario to get worse than it was. Long story short, it was 3-1. And I'm telling you, I had a feeling that she would do something like this once the camera footage had disappeared. And she was, she had a very weak personality. I knew she would do this. I went in there. And I grew up playing softball, so I was a pitcher. And I'm a slugger. Okay, I'm a slugger. But I don't play tennis, but I was in there. Boom, 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 boom. I handled all of them. And by the end, the principal that was over the teacher, she got so besides herself. She said, I don't have to take this. And then she got up, but her chair was stuck to her butt. Then she went and made her little calls to try to make me look bad and smear me. And then I had to call the school attendant, superintendent, sorry, the superintendent, and tell them that they were going to look stupid. They were going to look stupid because my daughter was just awarded in the newspaper awards for being a good student and for winning art contests. And they were just going to look stupid. So they needed to fix this. And once they realized that they would look stupid and that I wasn't going away, they just said, well, what do you want? And then we got someplace. Long story short, if you don't know you're walking into a situation where it's going to be 3-1, it's too hard. It is too hard. I believe it was too hard on him. However, I will say this, is he ended it masterfully because he was the last person to speak. And often the person that gets to speak last has if they do it well, they can leave something in your mind, uh, which was, again, hey, you know, this is what's going on. This is what's going on with this border. This is what you're going to lose if we don't fix these things. And I think he was able to get that across. And so I feel like even though most people would say, oh, she had a victory, I would say slow down on that. There's a fable called The Tortoise and the Hare. Um, you would be better off if you read it. Sometimes the rabbit comes out and they're very confident. They're very confident because they run what they think is a good race, a fast race. They're so used to getting to the end first and defeating everybody that they fall asleep. And here comes a tortoise, and the tortoise wins. I'm sorry, Donald, if you don't want to be called a turtle. But I felt like that's what last night was. It was not all lost. You just have to look at what was said, but more importantly, look at what was not said. Understand that these candidates don't just have you in mind. They have corporations that they're thinking about. That there are ways to carry out plans, but it's not just what the plan is, it's how the plan will get implemented. And just things like that. And then you might look at that debate last night with fresh eyes. But anyway, I gotta go. It's windy. It's crazy. Bye.